It's just a month until world leaders descend on Glasgow for the UN climate conference COP26, and preparations are well underway. But is the city ready? One man from Easterhouse has complained to the council about nightmare fly tipping and says residents outside the city centre are the forgotten people of Glasgow.
Richard McShane is concerned that communities in the suburbs will be left behind. Susan Ripple has been finding out more.
The biggest event to be hosted on Scottish soil is just around the corner, but it seems not everyone in Glasgow is aware.
Do you know what COP26 is?
No, we don't, sorry.
Do you know that it's the climate conference that's happening in Glasgow in November?
No, I had no idea about it.
Can I ask you if you know what COP26 is?
No, I don't know. No.
It's a climate conference.
Climate, aye, because my husband's been talking about it.
That's a climate change conference.
Do you know it's the climate conference that's coming up in November?
No.
Do you know anything about it at all?
No.
Preparations for the UN climate conference have been underway for months, and there's been growing pressure on the council to clean up the city before world leaders arrive.
We've asked for cameras in these areas. This is one of the hot spots.
This is the Glasgow locals like Richard and Easterhouse say they're too used to seeing. Some of it has been cleared up since we filmed here, but the piles of rubbish had lain for months.
We are the forgotten people of Glasgow. People who live on the estates are the forgotten people. They don't care because the tourists and these people that's coming for the conference, they'll never see this. I'd love to bring them through here and let them just see how the people of Easterhouse are going to live.
If delegates do want to explore Glasgow while they're here, they might want to avoid Hope Street. It's still the most polluted in Scotland.
Hope Street is highly polluted, not just because of the amount of vehicles we've got driving up, which are old polluting vehicles, but because we've got this canyon effect of tall buildings on a narrow street, and that's true across Glasgow city centre. We've got a lot of traffic, we've got narrow streets, so that's a lot of pollution. People are breathing in and it's not dispersing.
Our low emission zone came into force in 2018, and since then the bus operators in Glasgow have been having to deal with more stringent emission standards for the buses that they run in the city. We're already seeing through our data that that is having an impact.
One of the residents in Easterhouse who we spoke to said that he feels like locals in that area are being left behind. What have you got to say to that, the fact that he feels like they're being forgotten about?
We want every community in Glasgow to feel that we are looking after them and that we're looking after the environment for them. We're also cleaning all of the city, so our fly tipping teams go to every single neighbourhood wherever there is a need. We've got a new fleet of street sweepers and they will also be targeting every single street across the city.
In the coming weeks, we'll be seeing more and more changes in this area of Glasgow as the city prepares for the conference. And of course, we won't be the only media here. There'll be journalists from across the world covering this global event. And this is where it'll all be happening, at the UN Blue Zone, or SEC as we know it. We're expecting around 120 heads of state and no less than 20,000 delegates.
And those registered attendees won't have to pay to use public transport in the city, something campaigners calling for free travel on buses and trains aren't happy about.
It's just going to create more division between the people who are allowed in the COP compound and the majority of Glaswegians who are going to be locked out and massively disrupted by loads of road closures and closures to cycle lanes. So this is a massive missed opportunity not to pilot free public transport for everybody and leave a positive legacy for the city.
We'll be monitoring the successes of the implementation of the smart card for the delegates and for the volunteers. We will also be monitoring very closely what that means in terms of demand, what that does to the travel data, to the trends. So we'll be monitoring that, of course, for future assessment.
Organisers are of course preparing for this event in the midst of a global pandemic. They've got a number of weeks to go, but there's still a lot to do. Susan Ripple, STV News, Glasgow.